Flying high over the jungle. Flying high over the jungle canopy on a borrowed Amazon drone, dropping bananas like bombs in the Amazon jungle. Rob Fortney.
Wow. It does sound a little garbled. Hi, everybody. How are you guys? 1987. That's right, Jason. How's everybody doing out there on a Tuesday night? Yeah, it was just background music, everybody. So I hope your week's been good. Anybody excited about learning how to get more reviews tonight? I think there's a couple of things tonight that are huge game changers for a lot of people. So we're waiting for the room to fill up a little bit before we start. We'll just kind of, anybody got any questions that you'd like to get answered before we started? So if you got any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. There I am. Yeah. We actually run a little bit behind. Hi, Sabine. Hi, Eddie. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Tony. Hi, Dave. Doc, go Yankees. Great. Shelly. Dawn, nice to see you guys. Tony, Jared. Anybody got any questions? We're going to rock it out tonight. We're going to be dropping bananas like bombs on an Amazon drone. That's right. Anybody else making any money this week? Anybody else selling anything? I had a problem this week with an old listing that I put up that had been in there, and I actually lost some of my. I had a problem and didn't get delivered, so it was a big problem. And Amazon's giving me some grief, so I'm working on that this week. So I had a little bit. I heard Amazon is really cracking down on review groups. Is this true? Amazon's cracking down on fake review groups. They're also, if you don't do them right, Carter, what happens is if you don't list in the review what actually that you got the review or you got the product for free, that's where Amazon is cracking down on stuff because people aren't doing the review properly. And I'll talk about that. Dave says he's been killing it. He's a big week this week. So I'll talk about those free reviews and, product promotions and things like that. I have a little bit of a different strategy for them than's going on right now. So Tony says he sold a lot. So some people are making money. Maury says yes, she's been doing something. So apparently people are selling a little bit this week. That's good. I'm glad you guys are selling. Any other things you guys want to talk about before we get started? We're kind of waiting for people to arrive. It's 8:05. I'll get another minute and we'll get started on our deal tonight. Got ungated in grocery, beauty, and health and personal care today. Boom. Jared. Hey, hey, Jared, that may be something. Why don't you private message me? Because, Jared, in about 2 weeks, I'm actually going to probably 2 to 3 weeks from now, I'm going to do a webinar on how to get ungated. So your experience may be helpful to other people to tell them how you did it and things like that. I'll go through it, but it's always nice to hear from somebody who just did it and got it done. So, Jared, definitely PM me. We'd love to have you on for that. All right. Well, it looks like we're slowing down on people coming into the room. So anybody ready to begin and learn anything about reviews? All right. I keep the screen open to my right. So as I'm talking to you guys, I'll talk here. But as I look over to the left is where my screen is at. Dave says 20 days in at 930 in sales so far this month. Looking forward to a 5K month. That's a good job, Dave. That's good stuff. Hey, Denise, how are you? Nice to see you guys. I paid to get ungated. Who did you use a service then, Dave? Because there are services out there with getting you ungated. Getting ungated isn't as hard as people make it sound. On most of the categories, getting ungated is not a hard thing at all. Beauty's really easy. But a lot of it has to do with your rating, what you delivered. Some of them you have to do with how many sales you got going on, and your rating for delivery and things like that. That's what I just got hit in the head with this week, which was a problem with a product that wasn't delivered on time. And it's my fault. I just missed it. And so it hurts me a little bit right now. And so I may ask you guys to do me a favor next week in the group. And it's very similar to what we'll talk about in the reviews tonight. So let's get going. My name's Rob Fortney, and if you haven't been here before, you're listening to Jungle Tube's TV Amazon Gorillas webinar. And we're going to hopefully be navigating you tonight through the Amazon seller's jungle. Diesel the dancing dog. Where you at, buddy? Diesel. Diesel's over there sleeping in his bed. He's been learning ballet all week, and so he's a little bit upset that the other dogs are kind of saying he's not a man, and so, but he says he's graceful. He kind of falls a lot like his papa here. So, so he's learning how to do ballet. So the dancing dog is gonna get some new skills this week. So I want to welcome you to a new show on Tuesdays, the Jungle Jam. There has definitely been some different responses to it. We'll see how many people show up tonight. But don't worry if you're not here tonight. Obviously, this works for some people, and some people it doesn't. But there'll definitely be a replay, so you can listen to this anywhere you are. And so tonight's webinar is about how to get 100 reviews in 30 days and skyrocket your BSR. So you're definitely going to have to do some things to get these 100 reviews, and it takes work. But if you're not distracted in what you're doing, in the sense that once you get your product, if you use a strategy that I try to stay to, which is I get a product and then I don't do anything else but focusing on that product. Now I have some maintenance things that I'll do on the other products, and I'll talk about this later, but I always market. I'm always trying to get reviews consistently. And I'm always trying to market that product in all ways. Now, but then what I'll do is I'll focus exclusively on one product until I get it launched for at least 35 to 45 days, where I will just put in every hour I get up will be trying to figure out how I can move that product forward and to get ranked better. So I also, if you guys haven't seen the new podcast, I started last week on Friday, and it's not up on iTunes for some reason. They're giving me a problem. I listened to it. It sounds fine. They said somehow there's some feedback, so I've got to rework that tonight. Later on, I'm going to do that. So, but if you haven't, if you look into the chat box and you can scan all the way up, I put all of the links to the webinars that we've already done. I put the link if you want to still get the products to avoid guide, you can get that there. So there's some other things that you can get there that are in there. I'm looking over here. So yeah, and if you get kicked out of the room or anything, it's not a big deal to like go back in. You just kind of reboot it and come back in. If you lose me, then I'll kind of reboot and come back in. So sometimes, you know, we're on the internet and some things kind of happen. Some of you have asked about the Mindy project, which is the case study that I'm starting with my girlfriend, Mindy. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to start her out with $100 and then walk through every step through the process of getting her to private label. She's never sold before, so we're literally going to start out. We've actually went and bought her several pieces of retail arbitrage products that we're going to sell, and that's her first 100, and we're going to try to keep flipping it until we get around $1,500 to $2,000 that she saved up. And she's actually going to go through. She just set up her seller's account, and then we're recording that so that we can play it. So everybody will get to see that. And so I'm kind of accepting people in that, but I'm looking for very specific people and people who don't have a lot of money. And so I'm working with some single moms, and I'm working with people who kind of really need to put this together. So if you want to private message me about the Mindy project, I'm taking on a very few amount of people in there for that. And it's really for people who are just starting out and don't have a ton of money to get started. So they're literally talking about they have under $500. So if that's you, you know, certainly private message me. It's a very hard road. It's a much longer road. I mean, you'll be doing this thing because you're going to have to keep working your money up over time. So it'll take you a lot longer than if you have some more money, obviously. My number, I think minimum to get you started in private label is around $1,500. So, you know, I think you could do it for $1,000, but you're going to be really struggling. I really suggest you have $1,500 to $2,000 to get started in private label in any way. So next week's Jungle Jams, Tuesday, May the 12th, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to do a webinar called How to Write Crazy Good Listings. So crazy good listings. A lot of you guys, and I'll touch on that a little bit about how important listings and why the listing matters more than 99% of people actually realize, and how some other things that you can do can absolutely change the way in which your listing affects what you're selling, and will give you a significant advantage. And you know, there are a lot of things that are kind of out there that people say over and over again, you know, with, you know, bullet pointing stuff and, you know, pictures and all that stuff. But I will go into that a lot more specifically tonight about how some of those things matter and how that matters with your reviews. So tonight's show, I'm going to talk about BSR. So that's obviously we want to skyrocket, or actually I said skyrocket, and really it's not. It's like digging in the ground. So it's really not. We're not trying to get our BSR to go up. We're actually trying to get our BSR to go down. So I actually thought about this week that, you know, we're actually not trying to make it go up, because that would be a bad thing. So we're really trying to get the thing to go down ultimately. So we're going to talk about that and how it affects your sales and how reviews affect your sales in that BSR rating. We're going to talk about why reviews are so important and why it's important as social proof to your customers. We're probably going to spend most of our time in those two areas. And then we're going to talk about some software that I believe is a game changer. And then we're also going to talk about the magical thing I call the buyer-seller messaging service that Amazon has. And some of you may be even surprised that this is out there. I've talked to a lot of people, and they don't even know that this product's out there that Amazon's providing. And then I'm going to kind of go into, and if you stick around, I'm going to kind of get a little bit, I called it in some of my previews for this, a little bit gangster, like a little gangster, because some of it, you know, I'm going to say pushes probably up to the TOS and maybe kind of go over it. So if you want to protect your ears, you want to check out before I get that, I'll definitely give you a warning to what I'm going to talk about. We'll make sure that we get everybody's ID and make sure they're not Amazon employees or Amazon spying on us. So we'll talk about that, and we'll kind of go over some of those things, how you can really push forward. Now, obviously, you don't have to use all of them in what you're doing, but some of them, like I said, and I'll explain why and how I feel and why I got that way and what's my situation with it. So that's kind of what we're going to cover tonight. My background, again, is several years ago, I had a problem with my business that I've been running for 20 years. Unexpectedly, well, actually expectedly, I ended up losing my business and had to start over from ground zero. And now every day I get up and I sell Amazon products, And then I also help people, and I've got some other things that I do as well with products. And I do some listings for some other people in their businesses that I'm listing their products for them. And then I take a percentage. I buy their products at 5% over their cost, and then I list them for them. And some of those are FBM, so they're fulfilled by them, and then I don't even have to touch the product, and I just market for them. So those are some of the things that I do. And so let's get started. So as a seller, you're probably going to run into unexpected situations that catch you off guard, especially when it comes to reviews. Tonight's webinar, I hope, will give you some tips that alleviate some of your fears and give you some confidence to get some more reviews. There's no hard and fast rules with any of this. And these are just suggestions that will definitely help you increase your possibilities of getting more reviews. So I'm not saying this is the only way. This is a way in which I see that you can get them. It may make sense to you, it may not, but I think some of them will definitely, there's at least, I will guarantee you there will be at least one or two things in here that could change the way in which you're operating your business right now, and certainly maybe not now, but certainly in the future. The impact of product reviews are quickly starting to become a primary means by which shoppers are making decisions. So what's happening is, because of the internet, because of our phones, because of our mobile, we make decisions a lot of time about reviews, and we make them very quickly. And I'll talk about that in a little while. So what we've done is we've looked at them as a source of advice because someone who has firsthand knowledge of the item that we're considering. And that influence is very powerful. In fact, if you put a little time into researching these reviews and providing excellent information, then you'll be catering to 60% of the online shoppers care about reviews and use them to absolutely make a decision. So, and on mobile, it's actually even higher. So if you're purchasing on a mobile, because people are willing quickly to look up something before they buy it. So mobile sales right now is exploding because people are now buying stuff on their phone. I don't know how many of you have purchased something online through your phone. If anybody does, definitely give me a yes up there. And then the other thing is that it doesn't matter what your product, what product you sell. If it reviews, no matter how negative they are, don't refer to the bad consequences arising out of the use of the product, then you have to consider leaving it in. So negative reviews are always bound to take place no matter how good your product is. In fact, a study found that polite but negative reviews could actually improve the way a customer views your products. I mean, what's happened is people have decided that they're all going to have all these 5-star reviews and they're all fake. And at the end of the day, people aren't stupid, that they can look at reviews and understand that they're all fake and that everybody's gotten them for free and that nobody's giving you any negative review or anything like that. So we'll talk about how that matters and how you can, deal with those things at the end of the webinar. And here's another thing. You might find that it's very strange, but the fact is that a small portion of the negative reviews will actually make buyers more curious about your product, because then they'll want to investigate more and look into it, into more reviews. So if you have good reviews and you get a bad review, that's important. And I'm going to show you how I deal with bad reviews. So many of you understand what bestsellers rank is or what BSR is, but why would you want it to go down, and how that actually happens? Lots of people have a complete misunderstanding of this, and I'll kind of go through it with what my research and what I think makes sense. So the one mistake that I see FBA sellers making all the time is they don't take the time to actually understand this process and understand what BSR is. In reality, like I said earlier, you want to plummet your BSR, so lower is better, obviously. Because if you're number one, then that means you're selling the most. And so please bear in mind that Amazon does not explicitly state bestseller rank is calculated. But if you go on to Seller Central, they are pretty clear that it has to do with the sales. Now, how they come up, then I'll talk about that in a second. The information below that I'm going to talk about and I'm going to talk about today is just my deduction and my research and by process of elimination. So common misconceptions about bestsellers rank is that it takes into account more than simple sales. But it seems this idea is completely untrue. This rank takes into account only sales and recent historical data. So my opinion is, and again, people change this, have different ideas, and I'll explain why I think this, because people make a relationship to this that I think is wrong. I mean, bestsellers rank is what it is. It's based upon an hourly review of how many sales you're making. And I'll talk about, so what happens is that I believe, and just from what I've read and enough research, that BSRs below 10,000 are calculated a lot more than frequently than things above $10,000 are calculated, probably more as a day. So that's one of my things that I think I found in research that I've read and that I've learned. So if you're doing under 10,000, there's a possibility that your things are going to vary more widely. But also Amazon puts this into an algorithm that I'll explain. So, Amazon bestsellers rank to other products within its category. The increase in sales by itself is not enough to increase the ranking. To affect an increase in bestsellers rank, your product must exceed the sales of more units than any other products in your category. So just because you sold more doesn't mean that your bestsellers rank is going to go up. So if all of a sudden you got a big spike, and so what people do is they get a product and they do a bunch in the first week and then they don't do anything. Well, Amazon knows that you're getting a peak in it. So let's assume Dr. Oz starts talking about your product, and all of a sudden, the category just goes up because he's talking about, juicing machines. And so if he's talking about juicing machines, and if you're talking about juicing machines and all of a sudden he is, everybody's juicing machine business is going to go up. So in that case, everybody in the category begins to sell more products, and the end result may be that sellers stay relative to each other rather than, you've seen an actual improvement in your BSR. In much the same way, if your product is dripping out constantly 1 unit a day, but your competitor is selling more than you, then your sales rank will decline and the actual number will be higher, even though your product sales are consistent. So there's two things in there that I think that you're seeing, because Amazon just doesn't go by, if you just sell a bunch in a minute. Now, that may move you up, but I think it will slide back down. So recent sales alone are not all that Amazon takes into account. Amazon also has historical data of the product. That's why we don't do giveaways all in 1 week, or we don't do promotions over 1 week. I do promotions out over 4 to 6 weeks, and I'll talk about it at the end of the webinar. But so I want to create some consistent sales, and I always continue to do promotions. I'm not going to do them as heavy, but in my process of ordering a product, I try to continually and always be doing promotions and always seeking reviews and always seeking those things as part of my product cost. I figure that in as part of my product cost, so that there's always part of my money that comes back and it goes back into marketing at all times. So what Amazon does is, because of this, they look at stuff historically. They use this to predict, new releases, and so that basically say promotions for a week are not enough historical data. So they begin to look, as you continue to grow over 2, 3, 4 weeks, then you'll see your rank even go quicker, because they're not going to take me down if I'm the #1 guy because you sold much in a 3-hour period over a day, because you're probably not going to catch me anyway. But so it's a difference between historical data that they've done and then the amount of sales that you're doing currently. But it's based upon your average of sales, not anything else that I think people assume that it is. So when it comes to ranking highly on Amazon bestsellers list, as ranking is based hourly or slightly longer, then a surge in sales due to a successful keyword marketing campaign or a PPC campaign, followed by a sharp decrease in sales in a couple days, will only cause the product rankings to decline quickly. So you could go up and then all of a sudden you're going to go down. So in one given day, but a guy who's selling consistency, if he goes up, it's not going to drop all the way down, because he's sold consistently. So there's some averaging that goes on by Amazon. So your marketing efforts that I talked about a second ago, believe you should never quit promoting and quit marketing. Promotions and PPC click should always be done. I mean, Coke and Pepsi own 80% of the market. Budweiser probably spent $5 million on the Super Bowl, or maybe even more, $10 million on the Super Bowl, and they sell a lot of beer still, but they're constantly marketing. And imagine if you see, sometimes you go look in a category and you'll see a product that's listed number 1 or number 2 in the top 5, maybe on the front page, and you go down to the bottom and there they are advertising. Well, they know that to continually keep yourself moving, to continually keep product sales, then you're going to always have to market. So if you're doing $30,000 a month with your product, you should be spending $1,000 or $1,500 a month in maintenance money to keep your product continuing to sell. The biggest mistake that I saw with people in business when I was consulting was that there's a guy out there who's the best haircut or barber or the best mechanic or whatever their service or the best house cleaning company or whatever it might be. Well, all of that's great, but if no one knows you're that person, how on earth are they going to find you and figure out that you're the best at something? So I would see people who own businesses and all of a sudden they open up and they do a marketing splash and then there's no maintenance on it. So then they do all this advertising, their business does well, and then all of a sudden it just kind of creeps out and kind of just eventually goes down the drain because you're not continuing to promote, you're not continuing to try to get reviews, you're not trying to keep your product going. You can't just ignore part of your market. I don't care who you are. I mean, Blockbuster missed the whole thing, and all of a sudden Blockbuster is gone because they missed the way in which the entire environment changed on them. So it's far better for me to space your stuff in a product launch over weeks, and so that you can get into some of that historical data so that your rank will actually be will stick more to where it's out. So here's the thing that's going to the controversy, and let me explain how I see it. BSR matters because I've heard many sellers say that, hey, I got a bad review and I had a problem and I started selling less the next day. So what they do is they relate the bad review or the bad feedback to only the review. So somehow Amazon has, just killed them on this, but they're BSR. And so it's really has a matter of two things. It's not actually the BSR or the bad review that actually caused the BSR to go down, because if you continue to sell the same, then your BSR wouldn't go down. BSR is a calculation of how many products you're selling. That's it. But the correlation to bad reviews is always there because a bad review happens and then all of a sudden they see a lowering of the amount of products that they're selling. Well, here's why. So I believe there's two things that affect BSR. We've talked about BSR as it's calculated as on historical data and how other products in your category are selling. Reviews and ratings have no direct bearing on bestsellers rank. People read reviews and it's the first thing they look at after they look at pictures. In any category, you will have competition that's probably selling the same type of item. So in any category, if you've got one product, the likelihood that you're the only person selling that product or that product is slim and none. And if you're the only one, you may not be in a market that's making any money. So here's how that carries through. If you have less than 250 reviews and the first review is negative, your social proof is blown out of the water because the customer makes a quick assessment of your ability to deliver a quality product. And so if I look and I see your first review and I read it and you don't have a large amount of reviews, I can't say most people are making it instantaneous. They're evaluating your product in 5 seconds. How many times have you guys looked at a product and then backed out and went and looked at another one? Well, the idea is to convert those people that look at it. And that's what your listing does. And that's where you're having a problem, is if you have even only one review. So my theory on reviews is that there's a difference that happens. First, you got to have some social proof. And I think that happens around 10 reviews. So no matter what you do, we're going to talk about how you get those 10 reviews and what you need to do, but you've got to have 10 reviews. And so what happens is the more reviews you get, the more people are willing to take a social risk and buy something that there may be some risk in them possibly losing their money or not being satisfied or whatever it might be. Then I think there's another big jump. So let's say that 60 or 70% of people would still buy from someone with only 10 reviews. And then that number goes up when you get to 25 reviews. And then when you get to 100, I think you're including about 80% of people would have one review and they would continue to buy. And then once I believe that you get to like 250, now these are just basic numbers, but I think once you get up to 250, one bad review isn't going to affect your sales as much as it would affect somebody who only has 10 reviews or one review. So here's the magic and why BSR is affected by it. All bad reviews on your first page or reviews affect your sales. Even one bad review affects your conversion rate because people show up, they make your decision, they go, oh, look, and I read the first review and it's negative, and they click right off and they go to see another one. There's 17 other people on the front page. So what happens instantaneously is your conversion rate goes down. So you were converting at this level, people go in, and there are some number of people that aren't going to buy your product because they see that bad review, even if it's only one, because we're all lazy. We'll probably go, I would say, well, here's the numbers. So just like it is, only 70% of the people stay on the first page. So only 30% of people go to the second page, and then it drops and drops and drops dramatically. By page 4, there's only 5% or 3% of people going back to page 4 on a Amazon page. So the same thing goes with reviews. So my theory is I mean, not that I wouldn't, but I'd almost rather not do business with people that are going 5 or 6 pages back in my review history, because those people are going to be so hard to please no matter what. So I believe that there's a huge drop off between those first reviews on your first page and when they click to go look at the next page of reviews. I think that number dives off dramatically, unless you're talking now. I think all of us, again, that's why I don't want to get over. I mean, my ideal number is around $15 to $19. And the reason that is because people can make a instant decision on $20. Like, you don't need tons and tons of social proof to buy something that's $20. I mean, we go spend $10 at McDonald's now. So to spend $20 on a product or an item that we want, we don't need a tremendous amount of social proof to do that. And we can make an instant decision before reviewing 100 different products or going through. So if we look at a product and it picks up our eye, and so it's ranked high, so it's easier to click. So you go, okay, number 1, I'm gonna pick number 1. We usually will pick the top 3 or 4. But the other thing that I know that happens is that we are visual people, and I'll get back to this in a minute, but just think about, in your mind for a minute, think about Tinder and how that factors in. So as soon as a customer reads a bad review, some people will go away, no matter what. And I don't think you can argue with that some people are going to see one bad review and go, okay, I'm going to go look at the other 16 items on that page, and I'm going to buy them because there's some risk that I might not get what I want. So again, I think one review can actually affect it. If you get 2 or 3, then you're definitely going to see those things. So my opinion is you've got to act swiftly. I mean quickly. If you get a review that's negative, you got to get on that review right then. You need to be monitoring any bad reviews. And I'm going to tell you how you do this later as well, because I think I have an amazing strategy, and I'll share some software with you that I think can be a game changer for you as far as reviews. So we want to bury those reviews as soon as possible and to get them off the front page. This is why your sales are going to go down immediately, even just with one bad review. So here's the other part of this. So the second way Amazon, it's like Google. So Amazon gives authority to your site because of the amount of historical data that you have. And so what it does is Amazon has an algorithm just like Google does. Why am I going to rank your page higher on the page? Well, so when people say your BSR drops, it's not because your BSR is dropping and you're affecting your sales. It's the opposite of that. So what happens is that Google has this algorithm that figures stuff up. So what happens is that when a negative review or feedback occurs, the algorithm scores you less because of one simple reason. The only reason. Amazon wants to sell product. So they rate you and distribute that product based upon the algorithm score that it's doing. An algorithm is nothing more than a bunch of points of data. That's what algorithms are. So it's a million different points of data that says, if this is this and this is this, and and people who I couldn't possibly think like come up with this stuff. So if this happens and this happens, and it's weighted by, how much that has. And I'm sure that Amazon has hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of points of data that they come up with of how they rank your product. Now, it's not BSR that we're talking about ranking, okay? Amazon probably has so much data that I would bet you, because there's statistics are statistics. And once you get the kind of data that these guys have, they make incredible predictions on what's going on. I would bet you that with the kind of data that Amazon gets, 95% accuracy, they can place the possibility that your product, based upon where they place it in the search results, of whether it will sell or not sell. Because they know that that 40% of people who come to your page and see one bad review, they're not going to buy your product. So that's where this comes in. So a score, so what they're doing is that there might be thousands of points of data that they collected, but they're all weighted differently. Listings, the listing quality may have a factor in it. The number of picks you have, historical sales, reviews, feedback, your conversion rate. So now you have this bad review. Well, all of a sudden what happens is the amount of conversions that you're doing automatically is decreased. So Amazon factors that in. So there's probably, like I said, thousands of different things. How you do your keywords. I mean, if you go look at Amazon Seller Central, they have all kinds of pages that tell you how to fill it out appropriately, and they basically say in it that this is going to affect your ranking. It's not the BSR ranking that we're worried about. We're worried about the organic nature of when you search. So if you're searching for a French press coffee maker, which I don't like to use the same thing, but we're looking at a French press coffee maker. So when you search for I lost my train of thought there. But when you search for a French press coffee maker, then they're going to put scores up there. They want to know that what they put up there is going to sell. So obviously reviews matter, but they're probably weighted more by a favorite product, which is what you want, but it's not weighted as much as we think it is, because it's just one of hundreds of factors. So when we put in and we search French press coffee maker, Amazon doesn't care what your BSR. Now, obviously BSR matters in that because it's part of that algorithm, but what they put out on that front page has to do with these thousands of data points that you're scored from all these different directions. And it says, okay, what is how many bad reviews are, what's their feedback? All of these factors that they're trying, their number one rule is how do we sell more product? How do we put people in front of and put this product in front of them so we can sell? So here's one of my favorite things that I talk about, why this review thing to me, and how I started figuring out why I think what I'm talking about is different than what other people are talking about. So there's this thing that goes, and I'm sure you guys have seen, it was on an infomercial, as seen on TV, where you have an open door and you put this screen, it has these little magnets. When you walk through it, you can just walk through it, and then it swings back open and the magnets go in there. So that's what happens. So these doors, close. And so there's this product out there, and if you look it up, and I can't remember what it is, but it has over 1,400 reviews, and I think it's the number like 5 or 6 on a page. So now this thing closes. It doesn't work. It's horrible. It costs like $8. And of its 1,400 reviews, 50% of them are 1-star reviews, but it still ranks on the first page because somehow the algorithm sees the amount of sales that they have. And for some reason, you tell me there's 8 other pages of these things out there, but how are they ranking on the front page? Well, somehow the algorithm doesn't have that factor in as how much these reviews are happening, because people are still buying the thing regardless of the reviews because they think it's supposed to be cheaper. I don't know why that product does it, but it does. It's not the only one that I've seen. So these people are on the front page and they've got 1,400 reviews and 700 of them are bad. 700. So if reviews matter that much, then that person could never, ever, ever, ever be ranked if you're telling me that it's one review is going to make your number go down, which it can, but it's nothing to do with the review that's affecting your BSR. It's lower sales because people aren't converting and people aren't buying it as much because first thing is happening is Amazon's not putting your product out there. When you do an organic search, it's not showing up on the front page anymore because the algorithm said, uh-oh, he's got a bad review, so we'll drop that point down. Uh-oh, he's not responded quick enough or whatever it might be. And then all of a sudden, there's this kind of thing. So people look at your page, they don't buy because they read that first review. Then all of a sudden, Amazon says, oh, look, they're not converting as good. Okay, we're going to lower them even down. So now all of a sudden, you're on the front page and you drop back to page 2. Well, then all of a sudden, your sales go down. Well, then guess what? Your BSR goes down. And then all of a sudden, Amazon says, uh-oh, look at him. He's not selling as much. He's not converting, and he's got a bad review. Let's drop him down to page 3. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's always what's going to happen, but that's kind of how this thing works. So my thought process is you got to add more data to the ratio so it can change it. So your score goes back up as a result that you are higher ranked in organic searches, thereby selling more products. So my deal is you got to add reviews into it. So that's why you got to add more reviews and you got to get more reviews at that point. And that's why I think you should always be getting reviews so that you're constantly feeding that review monster with good stuff as often as you can so that you're always moving forward so that even if you get a bad review, it's quickly gone down. And we're going to talk about how you can make bad reviews and deal with them and how you can make them kind of disappear a little quicker and what you can do. So anybody have any questions about that and so far? Advertising works, Ruthie. It does work, Ruthie. Any other questions anybody has out there? Monica says she makes decision based upon reviews. Monica, how many reviews do you read in? Anybody? So my question is how many of you guys are actually doing or buying a product and you're reading into page 4 on the reviews? If anybody does that, let me know because I don't want to sell you anything because you're critical. Are you referring to the most helpful first 3 reviews showing? Yes. So, Jared, here's the best part. You don't have to buy a product to actually rate whether a review is helpful or not. You don't have to buy the product. So anybody can vote good reviews up and bad reviews down. And we'll talk about how you do that at the end. And I'm not saying it's not a little bit, saucy in the deal, but you can definitely do that. Anybody else got anything before I go on? We're going to talk about social proof. Are you referring to the most helpful for? That's what Jared said. So some of you are green. I don't have anybody telling me I'm crazy that they're reading 5 pages. So I'm sure some of you do. That's just kind of how some people are. They just are wired differently. So let's talk about social proof. And I'm going to explain what social proof is. And I know, so we're talking about reviews. And the reason we're talking about BSR is because I want you to understand how you can move that number up and down. But that number isn't as big of a deal as you think it is. Like it's a secondary number. It's the result of other things. So your BSR moves based upon what you're selling, but the amount of what you're selling is not a factor of why that BSR moves up and down. The BSR is just how much you're selling. It's just like, okay, you sold 10,000 pieces. Okay, well, 10,000 pieces over, this week is probably going to rank you there. And if you did it 4 weeks in a row, well, they're going to give you an average weight that, he's consistently been between 3,500 and 3,800. If some guy comes in and just blows the doors out of the water and his doesn't drop a lot, then we kind of know that next week he's going to still be there. So 3 and 4 stars are real. I agree. I think Jason says 3 and 4 stars are real. I agree. I think you'll get more accurate information out of 3 and 4 stars. And Mindy tells me that, what she does is she goes and reads the last reviews left. So what are the last 4, 5, 6, 7 people? And that's exactly my point. So you go and you read the last reviews that are up there because most of us are lazy. I mean, we're lazy and we're not going to go click again. You make a $15 to $20 decision 50 times a week. So not really, that's $1,000. I don't know if we're all spending $20. I used to do that a lot. I used to tell people that my employees, in any given week, they would make $50, $20 mistakes. And so I was spending $1,000 a week. I was spending $4,000 a month on mistakes that I didn't have any control over. Well, the same thing happens with you. You make decisions for $15 or $20 that don't take a lot of thought. So if you go on there and you look at a review and you look at the last 7 reviews, and even one of them's bad, you may make a decision that, you know what, I want to go find something that doesn't have any of those reviews. So you just click off that page. So here's what social proof is. Have you ever gone to play and gave a standing ovation at a play at the end, even if you didn't like it? You have, right? I imagine. And chances are you didn't start the standing. You know, like I was at my daughter's play, and, you know, when she was at the play, I was the guy that stood up, and she was the lead in the play. So when it was done, I was the guy that stood up and started going crazy. Well, then all of a sudden people start standing up. And the more people that stand up, the more people feel comfortable about standing up as that gets more and more and more. So, and then at some point, you become part of the second wave, which is if you don't stand up, then you're not in the group then. And then so you feel outcast. So if you look at a room, once it starts standing up, if it gets above 50, 60%, the whole room will usually stand up, because there's a social connection to that says, hey, I don't want to be outside of the norm. Social proof is hardwired into us because of our herd mentality. I mean, we all know that all we have to do is look at TV and pop culture, and we know that we are in a herd mentality, and some people are sheep and some people are sheep herders, and that just happens to be the case. And thank God that most of us here are not sheep. We are sheep herders because we've sat up on our own, and that's the difference between what we do and what most people do. We've decided that we want to go out and get our own path. So we're not trying to be in the pack because we want to do something different. So we're all wired that way, and some of us obviously have to be leading the sheep. So social proof is the best tactic for easing the minds of your worried customers that they may have a problem. So what happened is the internet now put all these things at your fingertips. You know, 5 years ago or 15 years ago, the only way in which you heard about products, which was me voicing that to you or telling you. I wasn't writing you a letter about who you should go see or what product you should buy. I mean, there was a very limited amount of reviews that you could get to before the internet happened. How would you find them? Well, it was word of mouth mostly. So if I said this is a good product, you might believe it because you identify with me. Over 70% of Americans, they look at product reviews before making a purchase. 63% of consumers indicate that they are more likely to purchase from a site if it actually has product ratings and reviews. So those are huge numbers, and I think that number is going to continue to grow. It's not like it's going to quit. So let's talk more about social proof. Now, all social proof is not created the same. So that doesn't mean that all social proof has a different weight. Some of them have different weights, and I'm going to talk about that. Testimonials are one of the most persuasive forms of social proof out there, but how can you make them more believable? Just because a testimony is true doesn't mean people will believe it. According to new research, increasing truthfulness is the best way to put a face to the words. Low proof, by the way, still is some proof. You just have to have people have to feel comfortable, and people have different levels of comfort before they'll make a decision. On the other hand, if you're just starting out, being new isn't always bad. Being new is good, but you just have to be able to have some ability to create some proof. And that's why I talk about getting those 10 reviews to start out with. You shouldn't be out there trying to sell your product until you have 10 reviews. So I don't care what you got to do. We're going to talk about how you have to be a little bit ruthless on this. So we don't want people to think our company is untrustworthy because we don't have any proof. Social proof in our situation is gained from our listings and how we list our products. The kind of I lost my voice popper thing. Well, I guess we're not going to use that. I'm not close enough anyway. So we get social proof from our listings and the way they're written, what we put in our bullet points and what we put in our description. That's social proof. Our pictures are probably I think pictures are probably one of the most important things about any listing. We are all visual. And so I think that's, you know, that's important. Obviously, reviews and seller feedback are all things that provide social proof in your listing and how you sell to people. The concept of social proof says that people are more likely to do business with you if there are clear indicators that other people are also doing business with you, and that business to do business with you is safe. So ultimately what we want is people to feel comfortable, and that's what social proof does. If your seller page warns potential customers of dangers of missing out on your product, and you see this a lot. If you don't do this, this is going to happen, but supports that claim by citing negative social proof. And I'll explain that to you. So it's very interesting finding negative social proof at the fact that it actually leads people in the opposite direction if you use negative social proof. So you need to keep your social proof positive. That means that instance that social proof was more persuasive. Both are great forms of social proof, but one is far more powerful. So negative social proof is basically saying, if you don't do this, this bad thing's going to happen. Or you point out something that negative and say that most people aren't doing this, and if you do this, you'll be successful, because that's negative. It's not positive. The big mistake that I see happen all the time is they use a negative social proof to increase the effectiveness to their call to action. It's actually destroying their conversion rates. That's why positive social proof helps, because a testimonial from an influential person, one of the few alternatives that can help you boost your effectiveness in social proof, which is getting other people to testimony. And I'm going to explain how we do that in a listing without doing it. So how do you know you're using negative social proof? You'll notice that they always claim that an activity is wrong, but by doing so, that lots of people are doing it, but the key trait is negative social proof. So what that means is that, hey, what they're doing is wrong, but everybody's doing it. So we're less likely to be included in that because everybody's doing it, and it doesn't matter because we're in the group then. So having positive social proof is the only thing that matters. So one of the things that concern that is that most of us are all interested in saving time, and that's why these things matter. So you want to make sure in your listings that there's a bunch of positive social proof prominently in your listed. Pictures were found to increase trust among all participants, even if the photos were nonsensical. So meaning, if you have pictures that people can look at and associated with, and that's why product reviews with pictures matter. It matters crazy big. Product reviews with videos matter. So if you don't have products with video reviews and your product's not been video reviewed, or you don't have pictures that are from customers using the product, then all of a sudden your social proof goes down dramatically. So if you don't have that, that's a way in which you can increase, is to get reviews with pictures on them, to get reviews with videos with them, because we're much more likely to believe a picture than we are just a bunch of words. And we know this. We know that people looking at faces on the web, it now made it clear that testimonies are likely to be believed when they're accompanied by a corresponding picture. So here's what I'm going to show you. I feel like that you'll understand this. So we've all heard of this, the app that people use for dating, Tinder. And I think some of the other apps now do it too. So when Tinder comes up, you come up with a picture, right? And that picture, you show it and you either swipe left for right or right for this way. And so you swipe it based upon whether you like the picture of somebody. That's because we're pre-programmed to either decide we like the way something looks or somebody doesn't look if we're in a relationship. It's not as dramatic when you look at a picture, but we also create other things. Do we believe that there's trust in that picture? Do we believe in what they're actually saying? But a picture with a testimony is way, way, way stronger than you writing words, because first of all, you've kind of revealed yourself, and you've taken the time, because there's more social proof, the fact that somebody took the time to make a video and explain the product. and people watch those much more than they are going to read reviews. So if in your first page you've got video reviews, which you want, and you've got picture reviews, then they're going to get that. And I also think that may be one of the parameters that that Amazon puts in their algorithm to get you ranked at a higher position organically. So pictures. Next week when we talk about listing, I'm going to have a lot of conversation about pictures, high quality pictures. Make sure in the pictures that you use, people are smiling. There's a bunch of research about pictures and how we feel comfortable with people. A smile makes people 5 times more likely to believe in somebody. Just a smile. So if you have a smile on your face, people are way more trusting of you because they trust the smile. And it's programmed inside of our head. We can't do anything about it. We just perceive that somebody with a smile is not lying to us. Now, obviously, we've all met some psychopathic people in our lives, and they'll lie right to your face and have no problem. But I would say that most people probably are not psychopaths and are not lying to our face all the time. So I lost my mouse there for a second. So all these studies that I talk about have come down to the valuing of opinions of others. Our brains place more weight on people we deem to be most like us. So when we find people that are most like us, we are definitely more apt to believe what they're saying. So the other thing is, and I've seen this and I read this before and then I read it again when I was preparing for this. People love statistics. We hear them all the time. People who hear a statistic are 3 times more likely to believe a statement that has no statistics in it. Now, there's another part of this that you'll hear in a minute of how it's overtaken by another thing. But so we've all heard this. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend using our Colgate toothpaste. Well, we've all got that kind of in our head now, and that's the crest. And so here's what's happened with that is that Crest basically goes into dentist office, and what they do is they give away, some of you probably have seen this. My dentist used to do it. What they do is they come in and you get done with your doctor's visit, and they give you this little pack, and it's got a toothbrush maybe and some toothpaste in it. Well, guess what? Statistics are nothing more. And I remember in college, my statistics professor said, listen, everything's dependent on who you ask the question to. If you want to find out who the #1 candy bar is, and you go to Kroger or whatever your grocery shopping store is, and you go there, and the only people you ask what their favorite candy bar is the people who buy a Snickers bar. Well, what's the likelihood, unless somebody's buying for somebody else, but that's where you get 4 out of 5 dentists believe, because there's one guy who doesn't like it, and he just give it to his patients because he got them for free. But the most of the other ones are like, hey, listen, they recommend us. So it's a matter of who they're asking. So I like to see 4 out of 5 people who buy our product are overly satisfied. That's what reviews should have in their sellers thing. So in your description, you want to talk about who your customer is. And then, so expert social proof. So we like statistics. Expert social proof is when your product gets a stamp of approval for someone credible. But that's perception. So who's credible? Well, you should find people to review your products are bloggers. And I don't care what blogger you use. It's just a matter of you saying that these bloggers recommend your products. Successful moms, mechanics, carpenters, chefs. Chefs find that this product is great. It does this. And so getting reviews from those people who are those people matter in your reviews, because if you can get reviews from people who are mechanics and carpenters and chefs based upon what your product is, then it's tried it gum, Peter says. Well, Crest is also I just saw the thing the other day about Crest where they actually have a commercial now. It says something about the crazy 5th guy, the 5th dentist, and they kind of make fun of him that there's a 5th guy or there's a 5th dentist that doesn't do it. So you've got to be creative. in your listings. 4 out of 5 children love to play with our product. The mother of 5, Jessica Johnson, who uses our product, stays 4 hours a week using our product. So you want to try to identify with your customers in your listing somewhere. So you want to nail down who your buyer is, in particular, in a detailed plan. So you want to know who your customer actually is. Don't try to guess. Write down who they are and try to make your listing identify with that person. The more likely you are to sell a product is the more likely that you are closer, because if we know, if you have a product that's for children, it's likelihood that mothers are going to buy it. So you want to talk to mothers, because mothers want to save time. They want to keep care of the children. So that's how you provide that. So I think in a review, you should definitely use some statistics in there because they're more likely. Now, that's just one of the things you should do. So the neurons in our brain, we feel connected when we can envision ourselves in the same situation. So if you mention a competitor in something, that's the worst thing you can do, because now you've mentioned your competitor. Now they may need to go look at your competitor. So don't put the competitor in your deal. Try to make sure that you mirror what your listing is like to who your exact customer is. So think about this. What would persuade you more, a 5-star review or a detailed account of how a certain product was able to turn someone's business around? So here's the other thing, and this is actually more persuasive than any of it. The story. See, I see this happen all the time. And one of the biggest, most prominent things that I think you should include in what you do in your description, it should not be this mechanical, dry thing. You should look at your listing as a big storyboard. What am I trying to tell, and how do I tell this story the best I can? A story matters. Your description, your stories are persuasive. They're more trustworthy than statistics, because individual examples lodge in our minds. But statistics on average don't last for long. But they do, statistics do invite us in to investigate further, but it's not going to last forever. Statistics may go, okay, and then let me go check more on that. Stories work because our brains are primed to heed their advice. We've learned our whole lives. People have told us stories, and one of the reasons is we become ingrained in that is because, our DNA for years, for millions of years, or however many years we've been around, our DNA said that to learn, you had to be able to listen to stories. And so we're kind of programmed. We listen to stories our whole life about good and bad. So we kind of relate to that and how it is. And that's why I think listings should have stories in them as well. See, what happens with a story is, I got a new mouse and I don't like it as much as I do every other mouse. Stories work because stories slip under our radar. We're not expecting it to be, because we're following along with the story. And then what happens is easy for our brains to kind of follow along in other people's shoes. So that's what social proof is and how it relates to reviews. And I'm going to tell you why that is at the end, why the story matters, because the story is really important in reviews. So your description should be a story and not all this mechanical fact stuff. You see these big blobs of deal. Well, tell them a story about how this product works and how it worked in somebody's life and how it operates. Quit just putting this mechanical, typed out thing that nobody can actually figure out. It's non-readable. How many of you guys are reading descriptions? But if you got me with some kind of story in that description, then I'm much more likely to read it. And if the bullet points lead me into some kind of story, then I may be more interested in looking at it. And the longer you can keep me on a page that your product's on, the more likely that I'm going to actually buy it from you. So any questions out there? So how do we get these reviews? Well, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. I'm going to talk about it right now. Can you play on the? Yes. Listen, why not? Why not say 4 out of 5 kids love my deal? People aren't going to listen. Statistics are nonsense in reality, but we buy into it. I bet you I've named 10 different statistics in here, and 5 stars do this, and 70% of people said this. And you know what? A lot of people will take this from my thing and they're going to go use that all over their lives. They're going to be talking to other people and say, you know what? 70% of people, looking for online reviews. And I didn't make that up, but I could have just completely made that out of the blue. Maybe 1 out of 10 people might, but the reality is I told you 70. And so that's what happens. It goes everywhere. And, and then all of a sudden it's the truth. And when it's sometimes not even close to the truth. So you can, listen, make stuff that makes sense. I don't care. Go play with 5 kids. And if 5 of them like it, then say, hey, look, I watched 5 kids play with it. 5 kids agree that our toy is the greatest toy, or, our kitchen knife cuts the best because I talked to 3 chefs and 3 chefs used it and they said that this is the best knife they ever used, or this knife is, functions the best or something. But give somebody some evidence that if your product matches, we talked about that, find somebody who becomes an expert at your product. So getting somebody who's an expert and talking about them. So in your description, listen, Doc Johnson used our product and he says that, it saves them time and money, or, whatever it might be. You want to be able to give people some ability to be able to say, you know what, this expert knows this, or they're like me, they're a mother and they know how hard it is. And I'm just trying to save some time between taking the kids to soccer practice or doing whatever. And this product will save me time. Well, how about have a mom say that? Phil says 70% of statistics are made up on the spot. I agree. And there's statistics that show that people just make them up all of the time. They just make them up. They heard them and then they quote some number that's not even true. Right. And Mindy says she reads them if they're not too long. Well, you're right. But if I can capture your mind with a story, you're going to read way more. And then once I tell you the story, there is a crazy amount more that are going to be able to want to buy your product because no one else told them a story. No one else said, hey, this is why this product works and how it works. And this is this neat thing that happened to this person who brought our product. They were able to, change their tire quicker, or they were able to get dinner on the table more because they used our product. When you suck people in and they can identify with what your product is, then they're more likely to buy. So if you somehow can get them from the bullet points, I see these crazy amounts of bullet points. Well, part of that, you need to be using part of your story. You're just going to have to be creative in how you weave the story in of your product. How people's, if you're using beauty products, how their skin, 4 out of 5 people find that this makes their skin extra soft. You don't ever want to use a negative in there. Like most people are going to have this effect, but 4 out of 5 people found it to be really, really great. Only one guy found it great, not really, really great. Jared says 60% of the time it works every time. Monica, I only read them if I'm not sure what the product is or what's included with the product, or if someone on Facebook posts a really funny one. I agree. I mean, listen, once you get down to so what happens is you might read the bullet points, the title. Again, I think in your title, I appreciate keywords, and keywords are great, but figure out how you can put your keywords into some kind of story. And I'm not saying you can, I understand. I know that you can't do it, but you got to keep that plot in your mind. What's the story of my product? And it should be able to be identified in your entire listing, from your listing and your keywords all the way through the whole page. It should be telling your story of your product and how your product's better and why it's better. Not just it is better, and then being able to use people who are experts at it, being able to use some statistics in it and tell a story. If you do those things, there's a much more likelihood that when I come to your page, I get better conversions, which will then make bad reviews not mean as much, because when you come to my page, I'm going to tell you that sometimes bad reviews are left, maybe. And this is why, because they found that this product, didn't meet this kind. I mean, you're going to have to be creative with it, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to always be on this and be on your reviews. And so if you've got reviews, we need to figure out how we can bury them. So let me see here. All right. Okay. So I want to know, I mean, I need this answer. I want to know how many people know about the buyers selling messaging service. Does anybody know what that is? The buyers sellers messaging service. Anybody have a clue what that might be? Because I think it's probably the most incredible tool that Amazon gives us is the buyer seller messaging service. So this is how that relates to reviews. The buyer seller messaging service allows you to communicate with buyers in the Amazon marketplace via email. Now, we're not allowed to send them email from our personal email, but what they will let us do, Monica says she's never heard of it. Anybody else heard of it? Mari says no. Eddie says yes. Billy says no. Shelly says yes. For feedback responses, yes. So basically, Amazon has a way in which we can actually talk to our customers. One more time. Amazon has a way for you to talk to your customers, and you can do it under TOS. Okay. So on your seller's account homepage, you can quickly check a buyer messages in the performance box, and this is from Amazon. If you use Amazon Fill by Amazon to fill your orders, you can use the buyer selling messaging service to respond to specific questions about your product. Amazon will still handle the buyer inquiries on the behalf of FBA sellers, but to use the buyer selling messages service for your FB orders, you will need to be able to enable the service for your account. So you have to actually go in and do this. Well under 10% of Amazon buyers leave feedback for transactions. Users are much more likely to leave negative feedback for a transaction than to post positive feedback. So I always say, when people say, well, how do you kind of figure what a thing's selling? Well, if I know that somebody's got 3,000 reviews or 1,500 reviews, you're going to multiply that number times 95, and that's going to give you some indication of what those things have sold over the period of time they've been out there. So if only 5 or 6% of people actually leave a review, our idea is to get them more. David says he uses them all the time. Never used it all the time. I'm sorry. So basically what this is simple. Amazon allows you to be able to send messages to your customers. And I'm going to show you how that's done. So one of the products, I'm going to talk about this software that I think is really great. And it's called Feedback Genius. Now, there are other things out there, and there are other products that do similar things, but I don't think it does the same as Feedback Genius. So Feedback Genius is integrated with Amazon, so it makes this process fully automatic for you. So your ability to be able to conversate with a customer kind of works like this. And listen, this is magic. So it asks, so what happens is when your product gets shipped, and it automatically will send them an email, and it'll say, hey, we want to let you know if your product, when it arrives, if there's anything wrong with it or any condition that you don't like, please let us know. And then, so did you catch that? So before Amazon gets to them, Amazon will let you set the setting that you're the actual first contact with them. So, hey, Mr. Customer, listen, I just want you to know, we're so happy you ordered our product. We're a small company, and we don't, have a lot, but we are really concerned to make sure that you get everything that we talked about in this product. So we're just wanting to make sure that, it's coming, and we've already sent it out. And those are the kind of things that are going to happen. You can send that email to them. How crazy good is that? So what's happened is instantaneously you've made a contact with them, and you said, my name's Rob, and I'm the owner of this company, and we want to make sure you're happy. And we want to make sure that everything you get is perfect. It's in perfect condition. It's what you expected. And if you need to contact me back, go ahead and return and call us back, and we'll respond back to you. In addition, if they're happy, it gives you them. And then what happens is it gives them a link if they're happy once they get the product. By the way, you can send more. You can send, I think, up to 4 or 5 emails in the sequence. So if they're happy, it gives them a link once you get on later on that they can just click and give you 5-star feedback. So what happens is they feel like, So I see about 20% of people, the first time you send it, respond once they get the product, because I'm going to talk to them once they get the product. Then I'm going to email in another one. So also in these letters, I make sure I have my brand, and, they're customized for each order in Feedback Genius. And then, so what else I do is I remind them that what they ordered, but where it is being shipped from, by what carrier, and the transaction number. And all of this is acceptable by Amazon policies as is the follow-up. It also pleases me to send you this email that is valuable and it's not spamish, because it comes from Amazon, so it doesn't look like you're spamming them. And then it allows you to be interactive with your customer. So there's some other cool features in Feedback Genius. If you had a product that you sell consistently, you can send customers who buy that ASN a PDF attached with a note. It says, here's more to buy. The biggest issue, as long as you're not trying to take customers from Amazon and put them over in your deal, and there's nothing like that, you're not doing anything to transfer them, they're not going to give you tons and tons of grief about this. So what happens is, once you set up, so if any of you have heard of an autoresponder, this is basically an autoresponder that works on Amazon's platform. So you don't have to do this every time. It automatically does this. Somebody orders a product, and then it puts their name in it, and it takes that information and it sends them, and it says, hey, Rob, listen, our product's on the way, and we wanted to let you know that if you have any problems. And then what happens, it gets there and it says, hey, we're just checking in to make sure you got that product exactly the way you wanted it. Is there anything we can do to help you at all? And then it waits another week, and then it sends them another one. And then in the other one, it says, hey, listen, we noticed that you haven't given us any feedback yet. Now, I want you to hear this. Feedback, not the word review. I'm using the word feedback. The difference is feedback has to do with you as a seller and not a product. So we're pushing people to give you feedback. And feedback says, hey, you know what? That Rob guy, his product may have sucked, but you know what? He contacted me and he made sure I was happy. So at this point, when I get a bad, I would rather, because listen, I'll give somebody the product, I'll give them the refund and let them keep it. I don't care, because I would rather not have somebody start trashing me and getting me, bad reviews, which then affect my conversion, which affects my ranking. So I'll give refunds. I'll give them a gift. I'll do anything I can. Now, obviously, I can't tell them that they need to remove the feedback, but I can just offer great things. If there's a problem, then I want to do everything I can to make it right. And I always let them create a relationship. When you write your emails for these things, you got to be, you just want to be respectful and kind. And most people, when they're upset, if you can show them that you care, that's most of the problem. They're used to calling Comcast. Anybody like Comcast? Because I hate them. But if you've ever had some people have good experience. I've never had a good experience with Comcast. So they're so used to getting bad customer service, because every single one of you right now, if I said, tell me about some bad service you got, every single one of you would tell me 100 places. So if all of a sudden you're on top of this and you're interacting, now, again, you don't have to do all this. This is set up. It's a sequence that automatically happens. So what we do is we try to push people to give us feedback instead of a review. Now, here's the greatest thing. If you listen to this one thing, this is a game changer for you. So when a customer gets something, and if Amazon screws up the shipping, then that's Amazon's problem. And what happens is guess what? Amazon will remove bad feedback about shipping. One more time. So if people leave you feedback, and what happens is because you're approaching it this way, people kind of get mixed up and to understand that feedback isn't a review. Feedback is an effort of you. So sometimes there's a lot less likelihood that they're going to give you a review if they've given you feedback. So if they said, oh, Rob, you know what? You were great, but man, I didn't get my product shipped on time. Why didn't it get here? And you're like, I don't know, but let me figure that out for you. And so it doesn't matter what they leave as feedback, because if it's Amazon's fault, Amazon will just return it. And what happens is that inside of it, what'll happen is that Feedback Genius actually notes that. And so then they set you up so you can send that email to Amazon and say, hey, listen, this is not feedback. It's about shipping. It's not my deal. So in that email sequence, what's going to happen is hopefully at some point, we're going to get the good feedback. We know those people are prime because they gave us good feedback. And there's a likelihood that in their feedback, and here's the most magical part of this. So if the seller is complaining about the product in the feedback, we know that they're likely going to give us a bad product review. But if we steer them towards feedback and they talk about how bad the product is and it's horrible, well, guess what? All you got to do is call Amazon up, send them an email and says, listen, hey, this is about feedback's about me. It's not about a product. So you can have bad feedback about a product taken away. So then when you send these emails and you get these responses on feedback and you find good people giving you good feedback, and they may even mention the product in the feedback. Well, you're not going to make them go away, but what you are going to do is that you're going to send them the last email is going to be maybe a week after they've done it. You're going to say, hey, how's that product working for you? Listen, we noticed that you gave us such great feedback that what we want to do is we'd love for you to see if you could review the product and see how it's working for you or whatever it might be, because they've already told you that they like the product. So then we're going to push those people into a review process, in that deal. And we're going to be able to find out whether they would give us a review before they would. So that's how you can move that thing up. So most angry customers are decent people with a sense of fairness. Most people are. I mean, again, that person that reads 100 reviews and then gets your product, there's likelihood you're never going to make them happy. So I would prefer that unhappy customers give me a chance to make it right before leaving negative feedback. So I'm talking to them. As soon as they got their product shipped to them, they know who Rob Fortney is. They've heard my name. They know that I care so much about their product that I've sent them an email and says, hey, listen, this product's on the way and it's personal. It has to be from you. It has to be personal. And in Feedback Genius, they've got a bunch of these different letters and stuff in there that you can use, that you can kind of adapt, and they'll help you do it. But here's a magic thing, and I'm going to tell you this, who has a bunch of great emails. If you'll go over to The Amazing Seller and Scott Volker, he actually explains how he does this. He does it a little bit differently than I do, but he has on his page, if you go in, you'll sign up, he actually has a document that has all his emails that he sends in his Feedback Genius feed. So he has it. So you don't even have to write them. You can probably just go get them for free. But Feedback Genius has that stuff inside of it too. Here's one of the main reasons I think Feedback Genius works a little better. If someone leaves me negative feedback in any way, Feedback Genius will send you a text message or an email immediately. So as soon as you know, then you can go back and say, oh man, I got some mega feedback. How do I go deal with this? And you can go get it head on before it gets worse. So you can get on it and give them a refund or apologize or whatever it might be. And then you can stop that off. So you can compose your message any way you want. And so what happens is you can, as long as you're following Amazon's rules, you can write this thing. Many users find that Feedback Genius is also useful for reinforcing their brand and displaying their name and logo in additional time. Sellers like the ability to let a buyer know that their product is out for delivery and that sure it arrives. So you want to say, listen, we know it's arriving. Let us know. And they can communicate back with you. This is not a one-way street. So remember, again, this is an automatic thing that's happening and you're just monitoring it. So let me say, if you're not interested in Feedback Genius, it's okay. You can do this on your own. This system is set up. So if you're not, it's not even very expensive. I think it's like $29 a month for a lot. I think there's even a cheaper one. I think it might be $18 or $19 a month. So Carter says, which is better, Feedback 5 or Feedback Genius? I think there's some differences that I see. I'm actually looking at another one that let me see what it's called. I actually found another one that I'm actually investigating right now. It's called BQ Cool. Be cool. Be cool. BQOOL. And I'm actually investigating that right now. Be cool. So BQOOL.com. And it's very similar. I haven't got to investigate it much. I'm a fan of Feedback Genius more than I am Feedback 5. I think it's more friendly. I would say, and I've heard people talk. I've never got to talk with the Feedback Genius guys, but these guys were sellers. They get it. They understand our perspective. All right. So that's kind of my process to getting. So Feedback Genius will get you some more reviews, and you control the tempo of that thing. You control by getting them into a feedback situation, and you find out before they give you a bad review where they're at, and you can get those eliminated if they give you bad feedback. So if it's about shipping, it's a problem, because you've been great customer service, because as soon as it was shipped, you were in their box saying, hey man, it's Rob Fortney, and I sold you this product, and I want you to know it's on its way, and if there's any problems, let me know. And guess what? The first thing that happens, they got that email, they know they're ready, and they're going to send you back a message. Hey, Rob Fortney, listen, this thing arrived 3 days late. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me check with Amazon. And you still try to do what you can to fix it. But ultimately, if they leave you a bad problem, then what's going to happen is you can have that removed. And it doesn't matter what they said in the feedback. And then what we want to do is take those feedbacks that are positive and turn them into more reviews. Because remember, we talk about only 5%, but you can get feedback from a lot more people, because you can't ask for reviews, but you can ask for feedback about you. Now, I would say that if somebody's unhappy and they give you feedback, there's an 85% chance that they're going to mention the product in the feedback instead of as the review. So if you say, hey, give me feedback, and they give you feedback and they're pissed, they're going to mention why they're pissed in that feedback. And the second they do that, it can go away. Amazon will just remove it for you. There's no question about it. There's no nothing. If there's bad feedback and you do it. Now, also, Amazon will later, if you have bad feedback and then you get an email from somebody that shows that you corrected it and the communication, and you send that to them, they will also remove that bad feedback. Up to 60 days, I think. You can get feedback changed or removed up to 60 days. After that, you're stuck with it. So listen to those. I think, to me, I think this is one of the neatest things about there, because I can get reviews through a system that starts with feedback, and I can get them taken off and removed. I just think that's the greatest thing out there. Let me look at some questions. I have not used both of them, by the way, Cynthia. Jared says, does anyone else have a rough estimate towards their Feedback Genius review conversion on a sale? Is it around 20%, like Rob said? I mean, that may not. I think their statistics are even higher than what mine are. Yes. So inside, I think, I mean, are you using it, Brian? I try not to be like in your face about a review. Once I get that feedback and they like it and they say this, because it's not against the TOS, because the problem is, or the answer is that you've given me feedback and it's not about the product. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, listen, Mr. Customer, man, you gave us some great feedback, but what Amazon really likes to have happen is for you to review the product. They've already told you the product's good. So now you're just trying to help them out and correct them, that they can then review the product for you because they felt so good about it. So that's how you push them through. You've got that feedback. Now you're going to read that feedback. And if it's polished or what you want, then you're going to send them that next thing. Yes, Leon. This is recorded. It's always recorded. It'll be on Amazon, Gorillas, at YouTube. You can go see it there and go through this. Anybody else have any questions before I go into the last part? So I think between this and what and what I've shared with people about AmaSuite and the top 100 and finding a product, I think this is also a game changer for a lot of people who didn't realize that Amazon would allow you to talk to your customers. I mean, lots of new sellers have no idea that you can communicate with your customers and do it, you know, and let Amazon let you do it, and encourages you to do it and sets it up so that you can do it. So the more you can conversate with your customer, the more likely you can create a satisfied customer, because a long time people thought that they were kind of stranded by not being able to talk to them. People could just trash them and do whatever they want, and they had no ability to be able to change that. With the feedback, you can try to figure out how you can change that situation so you have more power and more control in this process so that you don't get bad reviews. Feedback Genius product support will walk you through setting up your email for review. They were very helpful, Brian says. Oh, somehow this program, guys, sometimes, listen, I'm still struggling with some of this stuff. I'm not, you know, this is only like the maybe 10th. I used another piece of software before that did webinars, and then I changed to Web Fusion. And so I'm still, there's some oddness in there. I mean, they were showing that I had 57,000 people registered, and literally I knew that wasn't the case. I think there's only like 300, but so it's doing some odd stuff. And so sometimes it's messing up people's names and stuff, but I don't know why. It's extremely noticeable which company use an autoresponder versus non-biased, non-based on reviews versus time listed compared to the competition. Well, yeah, if you've been on Dale, so that's why I try to keep pushing for reviews up front over a 6 or 8 week period. I agree. But you know what, Jared? I appreciate that. But you know what? You're one of a small group, because I'm telling you, people are lazy. I'm going to rely on the fact that people are lazy more than I am. And I'm going to rely on the fact that they just need a couple cues of social proof and they'll make a buying decision. And it doesn't take a lot for a, you know. So Eddie says, Brian says, I'm getting about 9% feedback rate for previous 90 days using Feedback Jesus. So, you know, I don't know why, Brian. I mean, you know, and I'm not saying it's always 20%, but I think the deal is that, you know, maybe there's a different sequence that, you know, we're using. I mean, I think Scott says his is a little higher than 10%. I think his is more towards 22, and I don't know. We'd have to go look. I know Scott Volker talks about this, and like I said, he's got a great email sequence that you could go over there and get for free and set you up. Now, I suggest, you know, you work with it, but you know what? His is working, so if it's working, just go copy it. Don't kind of create a new animal. So Eddie says, to clarify, if the customer mentions the product name in their seller feedback, Amazon will remove it because it's not considered a seller feedback. If you do get both product and seller reviews by sending 2 links, okay, one more time. If you do both product and seller reviews by sending 2 links on your same feedback message. Yes. I nearly gave up and decided to re-register and just got on. Hey, Vicky, we recorded the whole thing, but I think I'm getting into part of the sexy part of this whole thing. All right. Okay. So we've got about 75 people here right now. Here's my thought. If you don't want to hear what I got to say, and I could just preface this right now, there are things that I'm about to say that may get you banned from Amazon. Now, the likelihood of it to me, and I'll talk about the likelihood of it is, but 2 things. And the reason why I have this theory and this whole deal is because several things. I don't know if you guys have had it happen to you, but people are malicious and they will attack your listings. They will send pictures in. They will take bad products. They will do anything they can if you're in a competitive market to make you lose, to make your ratings go down. So they'll get 3 fake email accounts and they'll send bad reviews in about you to get you to lower. Because if you're taking their money, some people are immoral and they'll just go after you. Well, let me tell you this. Amazon, I don't feel, is as friendly to us as they are when people do that. I don't think they're fair at all. And I think that I know lots of people who are suspended. And imagine how much money you leave if it takes a month for Amazon to get the fact that this guy, and you're going to have to do your own investigation to actually fix these things. So people leave bad reviews. How do I deal with it? Well, let's talk about that. So where is the email? I think it's the number 10 podcast, maybe. I think it's number 10. But if you go on Scott's website, it's on there, Richard. You just have to go look. I think it's in podcast number 10 or something. So these bad people are out there. And if you haven't had this happen, if you're in a competitive market, it's going to happen to you. And they're going to do bad stuff. And I see it happen all the time. I see people's lives get ruined by it. Second thing is Amazon allows some people to have videos in their sidebar. They're allowed to have videos in there. Okay. Now, why is that fair? So you're not gonna allow me to have a video? Well, why not? Well, so you new sellers, you're not gonna be able to have a video. So Amazon's not fair at all with us, and certainly us new guys. They're more fair with people selling more, because they're selling more, they're gonna listen to you more. But new people, they don't give a crap about us. They're doing their own agenda, and the agenda is, look, if we think you're dealing with our customers bad, we're just going to kick you off for no reason. And then you're going to have to beg, borrow, and steal. Now, hey, by the way, one of the number one things that I would tell you about Amazon, Seller Central, and talking to people on the phone, if you don't like what that guy says, keep calling back every day for a week. And try one in the morning, one at night. Try every different time you can, because all you're going to need to do is find one person who gets it and will help you. Just one. And that's what you're looking for. Thanks, Brian, for getting that link up there. Kaylin, it's in the thing now. So my process in this is, so I'm going to try to make the game a little fairer than most people. I'm going to do like they do if there's a bust with the police. If you are associated with Amazon or you're an employee of Amazon, then you have to leave the room. You cannot entrap us in this conversation. All right. So let's just be realistic, guys. If you launch your product and you're not launching your product with 10 reviews, it's because you're not trying. I'll talk about that, Cynthia, the groups that are out there. So it's your obligation to be able to make sure that you got reviews, because if you don't have any social proof, you're not going to do it. So the first thing you need to do is you need to use your family and friends and people that you know. So if we want to talk about this and act like it's not happening, it happens every single day. Now, another thing is if you've ever sent a product from Amazon to somebody to that address, then you can't use them, because they'll just take it down. So like if you send stuff to your mother's address, they're never going to be able to give you a review, because Amazon will catch it and take it down. So find people that you don't know. Now, we all know that if you send your product to your buddy Jim, who is in college with you, to review this thing, there's no way in which they can find out Jim is in, Jackson, Mississippi, that knows you. Okay, so is Jim going to give you a good rating? I would say there's a 99% likelihood. So let's quit all hiding the fact that this is going on. It's going on. People are calling Jim and asking him to do a review. It happens every single day. The problem, and what Amazon's trying to eliminate right now, is people that were selling reviews. Hey, listen, you pay us $100, we're going to get you 25 reviews. Straight up. And they'll all be 5-star reviews. We'll guarantee that. That's the people that Amazon has sued. So I suggest your family and friends, people you went to high school with, anyone you can, call them up, send them an email that says you're just starting out in your Amazon business. Hey, I just started this Amazon business and I need some help. And it would help you so much if they could buy your product for $1.99 and give you a review. And here, see, I said $1.99. So to compensate for this problem, Yes, they do. I'll come back to that later. So $1.99 product purchased is right now, I believe, the way in which everyone should go to that product promotion, $1.99, because Amazon can't distinguish that you're doing. They don't care what you sell the thing for. I can buy any product I want and sell it cheaper than anybody else I want. And there's nothing that they see is negative about that. It's the problem is when you're giving a product away under 99 cents, or for free, then that they're then going back and looking. Well, if at any time I offered my product at $1.99, then they can't say that it's not a legitimate review. So you send out coupon codes for $1.99 to your friends, to your relatives, and you ask them to specifically give you a review. Now, so we all should be using Facebook. You have a Facebook page with friends on it. You need to post. You need to post the same story. You need to tell them the story that we talked about earlier. The post should say, listen, friends, send them private messages, the people you know the best. Hey, listen, I've started a new business, and this is what my business is, and I bought this product, and it really, really, really will help me if you will make a product review. Matter of fact, I'd love to send this to you, but Amazon for free, but Amazon for only $1.99 will give us a review, and it will help make that review better. And you explain that to them, okay? Now, that's a Facebook message. But here's the magic. Remember we talked about pictures and video reviews? Brian, if you've never sold your product for $1.99, you can say that you got the product at a discount, but you don't have to say that you bought it on special or you got it on special. You do not have to say you got it for free because you didn't. I've not had any problems as long as there's some indication in there that there was some discount, but it could be it was on sale for the first week. Put your product up and sell it for $1.99 for an afternoon and see what happens. Get some coupon codes. So you can be creative with this. You just got to sit down and think about this. So here's some things that I'm going to tell you. I make sure I have a video review on every single listing. I make sure that I had a pictures, at least 2, maybe 3 picture reviews over the first 2 months. So within the first month, you need to have a picture review up and a video review. Now, here's a real gangster thing. You want the best picture review as you possibly can get. And so we talked about that. We want one that shows people using it. We want to make sure people in the pictures are smiling. So if you have a kitchen tool, go take the pictures yourself. Send them to your friend you went to college with. If you don't do this for some people, they'll never get your picture review up. They never will. They'll never get it up for you. So you're going to have to be a little creative and make sure that those pictures get to them and the pictures that you want to get into them someplace else. Now, is that bad? Yes. Amazon, listen to us right now. They'll probably close us all down. I don't know. But I'm going to make sure that I get a video review and I'm going to make sure I get a deal. And the more complete that I can make that for somebody, matter of fact, if I can get in their account, I'll buy it, set it up, and do it all if I have to. Because here's my feeling on this. If Amazon's going to let some people go and put a video on their pictures, why don't I get that advantage? So you're taking that advantage from me? Well, I'm going to figure a way out which I can have a video review that I think is even more valuable anyway. So I want you to do, I do anything I can to make sure I have a review that has a picture and has a video in it for sure. And I'll do whatever it takes to do that because, you know what? Call your friend up and maybe he'll do it for you and ask him to actually review your product. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm saying I'm going to make sure I'm going to call my friend that's in my fraternity in college and I'm going to say, listen, you want me to release those pictures that I have of you back in 1987? Well, then you better give me a good review. Okay, technically that's illegal, but Yes, you're right, Brian. I agree with that. Amazon won't care because what they want is they want the products to convert. And if you have a video or a picture, we already showed that that's more social proof. Now, here's the magic. Are you ready? If you can get a chef to review your knives, look how much social proof that is. So if you have a set of knives, go find a freaking chef in a kitchen at a restaurant and set it up, or do it in a kitchen. Hey, listen, my name's Rob and I'm a chef and I cook all the time at my house and I put these knives out and look how great they are. You need to be directing that video. That's all I'm saying. So you need to do everything you can to make sure that your videos. Now, remember we talked about negative things? We talked about negative reviews. Well, here's the magic. So you're always keeping people that you know that you can constantly keep a line to be able to bury a bad review, because as quick as you can get it off the front page, the better. If you get a bad review, you need to go into review mode. How do I get another review? How do I get more reviews on there to bury that review? That's why I'm constantly making sure there's reviews happening. That's why constantly promotions are happening. That's why I'm constantly using pay-per-click, because I want to get more reviews. That's why Feedback Genius works in here, because I'm rolling forward, getting more reviews and more reviews. All right, hold on. So be creative, guys. Don't get stuck in this and be frozen and not do anything. So have a plan while your product's being shipped. I want you to start plotting out, or I would plot out all of these things in places where I'm going to get reviews, and I'd start reaching out to people that you know for sure will buy your product. Okay, so you want to get people that will buy your product. Well, start talking to them 3 weeks or 4 weeks before you get it. Hey, Tim, I'm telling you, I got these pictures. You better give me a good review. And then you say, hey, Tim, matter of fact, I know you don't have a lot of time. If you'll let me, and if you know these people well enough and they're friends or whatever, go in there and freaking, have them, get online with them and walk them through it. Matter of fact, you can tell them the words that you want them to use. Hey, these are some suggestions. These are some suggestions. Listen, at the end of the day, if I told my buddy Tim that this is the email and I want you to review this product and these are the damn words I want you to say and here's the pictures I want you to post, I imagine most of you have people that would do that. Now, I have never done this. I've never done this, nor would I ever do this. These are just things that I heard about other people doing this, Mr. Amazon police officer. So I'm saying I never would do that, but some of you may decide to do that. I would never, ever, 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 ever do this. But, giving somebody a script of what to say. Now, listen, some people I heard will actually record their own video of someone they know, setting up exactly what they want. And then they'll record it and then send it to their buddy Tim to post it on his review. Now, I would never do that, but that's a way to get your video review up. So when you do these things, you want to make sure that good product pics are showing the use of the product and how it's being done with. And remember, we need people that are smiling in the pictures and having fun. If it's a kid's product, you need to show kids playing with it. Well, what's the likelihood that you're going to be able to find this? You're going to have to produce this and make this happen with these people. All right, so I'm going to talk about this gorillas thing and how we're going to deal with reviews ourselves. So one of these things, and the reason why I say that people call me from that work for me in the past, and they'll call me and they'll say, hey, Rob, can you write me a letter of recommendation? And I'll say, man, I don't got time to do that. I got to spend time. So your buddy Tim's going to be like, well, I don't have no time. I got to work. And so you're going to have to follow up with him over and over again. That's why you want to make this as simple as you possibly can. Simple, which is, hey, buddy, some people might say, here's the review for you just to post. You don't have to do shit. Just buy it and stick it up there for me. Again, I take that back. I would never do that. But you have to if you're going to be gangster about this, you're going to have to set the story out straight on them. And wouldn't it be great if your buddy Tim left this amazing review that was worked on for a while and make sure that it had all the components? By the way, if you look out there, let me see if I can find this. I have a an article that says this is what BS reviews look like. Hold on, I'm going to find it for us. All right. I'm going to put this in here. So this is how to spot a fake review. Hey, I'm glad some of you guys, and we're going to talk about review groups. If you look at that, there's words and things in there that they statistically say that they see in fake reviews. Yes, I am wearing a black hat because this is definitely black hat stuff and will get you banned if you are caught. Now, again, the only reason I'm going to get caught now is maybe I should have. All right, now, my next suggestion is maybe I should have hid my face the whole time. I don't know. So the next thing I would do is in these reviews, you want to start spacing them out over a month. Okay. You want to start spacing this thing out. You don't want to do them all at once. So what I would try to do is I want 25 reviews, 15, 20 reviews every week and a half, and over about a 6-week period, I want to get myself up to at least 50, 100 reviews. Now, depending on how aggressive you want to be, you can get more, but I would suggest don't go more than 20 to 25 in a week. So that's how you can get 100. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, remember this. If you're getting reviews, that means people are buying your product. And people buying your product at any rate doesn't matter as long as you're getting more than $1 or you're getting $1.99. They don't care, because if you're a competition and you're selling this much, it's the amount of sales. And remember, BSR goes up, you're getting good reviews, your listings optimized. So all these reasons, I got some products I'm working on with 2 people right now, and I know for sure when I launch their product with them that they will absolutely get on the second page within the first 14 days. There's no way they can't, because I'll make sure that their launch is set up enough that I'm going to get enough reviews, I'm going to get enough feedback, I'm going to get everything going in my favor when I launch a product. I'm going to do every single thing, and I'm going to come up with a list of every single item that you're going to do to make sure that your product gets launched successfully. Guys, you're putting your life savings, some of you, into this deal. Okay, if you're putting your life savings, I'm going to do every single thing on the planet Earth to make sure that I don't lose my life savings and to make sure that I can support my family and do. Now, is it a little bit odd that people might buy if your product's good? Then you know what? At the end of the day, you got a good product and no one's being hurt by this. Maybe other people selling it, but you know what? I'm not going out there and doing what these people are doing to me, which is, hey, listen, I decided that this was the way I was going to roll when Amazon told me, basically, because I lost an account because of bad stuff. And by the way, I am going to do a whole New York 6, Toronto 3. All right. By the way, I am going to hold, I have all the information. If you've lost an account and you've been banned, I have a whole system which I am going to share at some point, exactly how to get you back on online and get your account back up. And it's definitely 100% black hat. I know somebody right now who's doing it, and we're really close. And I know another person who absolutely got back online by using this process that I put together. So once you start getting your products reviewed, your BSR is going to go up because you're selling, and that's why I like this $1.99. So we want to, if we get a bad review, we want to vote that bad review down, and then have people that we know go and vote. Because guess what? If you're voting up and down reviews as it's useful or not, they don't have to buy the product. So you could tell everybody in this group, hey, listen, I need you to go read my review, and I need 10 of you to go this week and go click this thing is bad and this good reviews is good, because then that will drop that feedback down. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what you want to do is bury this stuff, get it underneath you, get it off the front page, vote down people with bad reviews and have good reviews voted up. So let's talk about review groups. Okay, man, there are review groups out there, and I have some review groups that I've seen. If you search Facebook, you'll find them. There's lots of review groups out there, and I've had varied success with them. So what I've decided to do, so I don't know how many of you are involved in my Gorillas Mastermind groups, but when I do small, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but when I do small groups that I work with personally, so if I have a group of 25 people and we all have products, well, what I try to do is I try to have everybody have people purchase from each other and leave reviews. So I buy your product and then you buy his product, and we don't buy the same product from each other. We buy different products, and we're able to get reviews right out of the gate by doing something like that. Now, in the mastermind groups, we have 250 people in them. 250 people. If you put your product up for $1.99 because you're full of a group of people in our mastermind group, then guess what? Of the 250 people, you're going to be able to pull out 25 people for sure, because they're sellers just like you. And what's going to happen is when they launch their product, they're going to say, hey, will you review my product? And so you're in a group of a small group where you've got to know people. You can ask those people to help you. So that's why the mastermind groups and these small groups matter. And that's why I believe in the mastermind groups. So there are also other people out there. You can do a viral launch. You can do Zone Blast. I'm not a fan of Thomason. It's bloggers. It's not even people who are they don't even have to review your product, and half of them suck anyway. So, people that you're associated with in your groups are deal. And my 25, when I do it, they can all help each other write reviews. I mean, we can cast them out and say exactly what we say. So when we're in a mastermind group, in my mastermind, Gorillas Mastermind group, we have 2 of them we filled up already, because I absolutely have a hard number that has to be below 250. And the reason is that Facebook will not allow me to communicate with any more than 250 people at the same time. So I can't send an invite and we can't all work together, because like in my Alibaba to Amazon group, I can't communicate with only people that I'm friends with. So that's a problem. So that's why. And there's also some accountability. Ruthie, that doesn't sound like Black Hat, is it? Ruthie, this is dark cloak Black Hat, some of it. So what I'm going to do on a product launch from me, when I get a product, I'm going to get a product in. First of all, I want to buy a product that's less than $3 shipped to my house. Meaning I want a product from China that gets to my house under $3, and I ideally want to sell it between $14.95 and $19.95. That's where I want to go to. I want to sell a product that costs me $3 to $4, no more than. I really don't want to get into a $4 product, and here's the reason why. Because if I buy 1,000 products, I'm going to give away 200 of them over the first 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to give them away at $1.99. So here's my likelihood. If I've got a product that costs me $3 and I'm able to get a bunch of them out at $1.99, then basically I'm breaking even. And so then what I do is you just cycle that money through. $1.99 sale comes out and you lose a little money, but you're not losing it all. So you're getting 50, 60% of your money back. So the product goes in, you get a review because you sold it for $1.99, and then you go back through and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And you're losing a little bit of money, but you're gaining reviews. And the biggest issue that I see people make over and over again is they get that product launched and then they're not marketing. Part of your marketing is to get promotional products out. Yes, Leon, I can trust people. You can trust people in a group better, but a review group, review groups get a better response, because people are obligated to be in that group, and they're able to, and they'll give you better responses in a group that is an actual group, because they keep track of these people. And now again, they're not trading reviews, quote, 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 and they are. Let's be reality of this. People are getting free stuff, and the likelihood that they give you a bad review is they understand the reason they're in this group is because they give good reviews. It's all bull crap, and it's all people all acting like it's not happening, and it is happening. A review group basically is you buying reviews by giving people free stuff. Well, again, if they do that, they have to list the review, say they got the product for free. That's what Amazon's pulling off. If you got a review that's not free, they're not pulling off all free reviews. That is not true. So you can give away product, but they have to. They're very strict now that this is a free review. By the way, there's nothing wrong when you first getting started for you to call these friends who never even bought a product and do a review on a product that you didn't even buy. You don't have to have a verified review. So if you're only trying to get to that first 10 and you can't get to 10, go find 4 people anywhere that didn't buy the product and have them do a review all over the country. Now, again, I don't think you should do a bunch of stuff in your same town or certainly on the same IP address. I mean, you have to be a little bit smart about this. But you get 5 reviews from people you know, and you get another 5 reviews from people who didn't even buy it. Now, all of a sudden, you got 10 reviews. Simple. And you want to get to 10. That's the number. 10 gets you about 75% of people will decide that that's enough social proof to be able to buy your product. So review groups. Now, so here's the things that I'm doing. Yes, Brian, we are marketers more than anything. You can have the greatest product on the planet Earth, and if nobody knows it's there, it's never, ever, ever going to sell. So you should always, always, always be marketing no matter what. And so I constantly, that's what I said. So when I buy a product, I'm going to keep cycling that product through. If I sell it, and I know that a certain percentage of every product I sell goes back into marketing. It goes back into pay-per-click. Again, go look for products out there and start looking and look who's advertising at the bottom. You're going to find a lot of times it's the guy that's number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Why are they marketing? Because they want to stay number 1, 2, 3, and 4. The second they stop marketing, they're not keeping that sales rate up because a guy that just shows up, he can't sell 5 a day. Well, heck, 2 of his things are coming, 3 of his things, or a percentage of his sales per day are coming from his pay-per-click. So the magic number in pay-per-click is if your pay-per-click breaks even, you're a winner. So if it costs you $100 to make $100, you're swapping the 100 for the 100, but you're getting ranked organically because you're fulfilling those organic things that get you ranked. And Amazon says, well, you have authority, you're selling, you got good reviews. And so even if you're breaking even on your pay-per-click, why would you quit? The idea is for Amazon to put you up there for free. So even if somehow you're not getting, now listen, that's typically not going to be the case, that your pay-per-click isn't going to get you more review or isn't going to get you more sales. So, and it's also going to bring you more reviews because you're getting sales because they're organic, and organic sales means you don't have to discount the product. And Amazon, because they like your statistics and they like your parameters in their algorithm, they're going to list you higher because you're converting more people. People go to your website and they go looking for your product, your friend does, and they search it and they go in there and they buy it. Well, you're doing that for 6 or 8 weeks, hardcore, and then you just should slow it down a little bit, but you should never quit. You should be getting 5 reviews a week on average, I would say, that you're pushing for and you're trying to get. So basically every week or 2 weeks, you're burying all the reviews down. You're constantly burying reviews, and if you have a page full of 5 or 6 great reviews, well, then don't do it. Maybe don't even ask people, just get those 5 sales. Like I want to at least have 10 sales a week that I know are coming. So that's why I'm constantly promoting, constantly producing, constantly marketing my product over and over and over again. So here's what I'm doing right now. If you'll go search, they're asking Mindy who's paying for the shopping. Hey, she's got the money. Yes. So 2 things about reviews. People have to be Amazon Prime members because Amazon Prime members, you can't make them pay for shipping, and they're not going to do a free review. So they have to be Prime members so they can get it shipped, for free. So here's what I'm doing right now. If you'll go look and let me find Hello, hey, hello, hello, hello. Comcast heard me. No, I'm back. I'm back. I know I'm back. Hello, I'm back. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, we can hear you. Yes, yes, hey. Hear you now. Hear you now. All right. So, you're right, Brian. I probably forgot what I was talking about. Anybody want to catch me up to where I was? Amazon probably was in the middle of that. I bought that camera from Amazon. They probably they probably made it not work from headquarters. Amazon warehouse is only about 15 or 5 miles from my house. All right, so I think we were talking about the mastermind group, and then we were talking about my new review group that I'm trying to put only you know, a lot of sellers in there, so we're all helping each other, so that we know, and there'll be some rules in there, but we're trying to create a reviewers sellers group that we all work together on. We all kind of know we know what's going on there. We know that we're all trying to help each other, and you know, I think we all can be fair in our reviews, and I think we'll all agree that if I don't like your product, I just won't review it for you. Yes, I did backdoor the camera. I basically unplugged the camera and put it back in so it wouldn't read that snowball mic. That's the second time that snowball mic has done that to me. So the $1.99 group. So if you look at it, I think I put it in there again. All right, so if you want to go join that group and you're interested in being part of our review group, the $1.99 Amazon Prime products and promotions, then definitely go get that request. We'll start putting people in there. I'll start putting some of the requirements up there. You'll have to kind of agree to what we do and how we do it. It's not that big a deal. But then, you know, so then we know that people in that review group are not going to go give our coupon codes out to everybody as well. So we kind of try to keep this thing to us and revolved in us. Hey, Jared, yeah, you're right. I think there's definitely some of that possibility that people could see your product and take it from you. It's out there. But on any review group, there are people that could take it too. I mean, it's not going to be completely reviewers. They'll just be reviewers in there, and we don't know who. We don't have to do. No one's going to know who's selling that. It's just you're going to see products. So I'm a member of 3 or 4 different review groups, and I see stuff for promotions go across them all the time. So I could take all of those people's stuff. So it's not going to be all reviewers or all sellers, but I would think that, you know, if you're going to promote your product with any review group, the possibility that's out there, you know, may be out there. So now, if you have a product that doesn't need reviews or lots of them, then this would not be the way to go. But if you want to get some volume, that's where a review group will help you, because you can get lots of sales quickly and get your BSR up quickly. Right, Laura, the only reason I don't have it as secret right now is because I'm letting you guys in it. It was definitely going to be a secret group, actually. Actually, I haven't made a secret. I just gave you that link, but I will definitely, it's going to be made secret here. I just wanted to be able to get some people in there to look at it, but it will be a secret review group ultimately. People are saying I should go look. Any other questions anybody has? So a couple things. If any of you guys could go out there and you find out, and you can go to the Gorillas fan page. There's actually a fan page. I would love for you to go click on it and like the fan page. If you're not in any of our if you're not in any, and I'll ask questions, I'll answer questions for as long as you guys want. If you're not in any of our mastermind groups, man, we have hundreds and hundreds of responses a week. If you're at this webinar, I'm going to give you the link. Mastermind free. I did post a $1.99 link in the chat box, and there is the link for the Gorillas Mastermind 3, which I haven't opened. I wait for 25 people to have requests, and then I open up the doors. I've got, if any of you guys are in any of the mastermind groups and you'd be interested in kind of taking a lead in a group, I usually have 3 or 4 people in a group that kind of maintain the Magic 3, and they maintain the greeting of stuff, and they kind of help the conversation flow, and they kind of give people what the expectations of the group are. If you're interested in that, just private message me. If you're not friends with me on Facebook, you need to be. So just go friend request me at Rob Fortney Jr. Next week, May the 12th, how to write a crazy good listing. Next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. How to write a crazy good listing. I like that name. How to like a crazy good listing. And I'm going to put into those crazy good listings, we're going to put all, I'm going to let you see how all of these social proofs can be in there, how you can add in statistics, how you can do all of these things inside of your listing, and hopefully get you more conversions, because we're going to do stuff that the other people aren't quite doing. By the way, that's negative feedback. We're going to do things that are going to accelerate your business and not stuff that nobody else is doing. But there just aren't a lot of people doing this, and I think this will give you a significant advantage to be able to write reviews that have a little more thought put into them and a little different idea instead of just copying what everyone else is saying. This is kind of CIA oriented, I guess, David. So if you're not in the Amazon, you want to be in the Amazon Gorillas Mastermind 3, and you're not in that, and you're not in any of the other groups, I would definitely suggest that you be a part of that group. It's a great thing to be a part of a small group and a small community that can all help each other. And also here in a week, I've actually got about 5 or 6 now. I'm doing some personal coaching. If you're interested in somebody help coach you personally, I will certainly talk. You can private message me. I do several hangouts just like that with the smaller groups. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. I certainly will talk to you regardless. If you're interested in that at all, I usually will hang out and talk with somebody about an hour personally. You can ask me any questions you want. You know, and so I'll do that with anybody who's interested in maybe some personal coaching or not. And you can kind of hear my strategy up close and what I think, you know, is a good strategy for what we do here. So, hello, did I lose everybody again? No. So, if you're interested in that, let me know. Private message me. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna give a promo this week because I haven't been recommending it. If any of you guys have AmaSuite and you're using Top 100 Generator, I use this product, and I was not willing to recommend it because I didn't feel like the data was as good, and I only used it as a check. But I spent some time with Greg, who writes the software, and he just came out with a new software or an update on a program called Jungle Scout. Man, Jungle Scout, I think, is the sexiest product out there, and it is because you put it in your browser, and when you're searching on Amazon and you get a page, you click it, and it will show you the main rank of everything on the page. It will show you the approximated sales per items per page, and it will sell you the approximate dollar amount that those products are selling. That's some crazy good information. Now, again, it's not 100% accurate because it's an algorithm just like all these other algorithms are. So it takes in a bunch of factors and it weights them and says, this is the approximate sales. Listen, if it's anywhere close, you're not looking for an exact amount. You're just looking to see whether these products on this page are selling, not how much, you know, they're exactly doing. Because we're not, I see people all the time, they get stuck on one product. The only reason you're looking at one product, you're going at one product to get you to a group of products that hopefully are selling on the whole page. You're not trying to replace one product. You're trying to find a product that has a group. I'm working with somebody right now, and they have a product that we found only has 2 pages, maybe 3 pages of people selling their product, and I would say half of them aren't the product, and there's over $50,000 worth of items being sold on the front page. And I'm telling you, in week 1, no more than week 2, he'll be on page 2, and by the end of the month, he'll be on page 1, and definitely be on page 1, and competing with everybody else on a product that costs about $3 and sells for $30. So the update has definitely made Jungle Scout better. I use it. Again, I didn't use it to try to be as accurate. Listen, let me tell you this, guys. If you're in this business and you want to be successful, 2 things. Get the tools that you need to do it. We're talking about 40. I mean, don't spend $150. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. If you're not using AmaSuite, right there, it's the bottom one. If you're not using AmaSuite, then I don't understand why. You can get that product and start for $37 a month. Top 100 generators, $37 a month. You can get Jungle Scout for like $67 a month, or $67 total. You only have to buy it one time. So between those 2 products, you are going to get a pretty accurate information to what you're doing. And then if you want to go get some more, go get Feedback Genius. Go get yourself Merchant Words, and go get yourself Azon Shark if you want it, and go buy products that will give you an advantage over everybody else. We're talking about maybe, even if it's $100 a month that you're spending on these things, like, are you in business or are you not in business? No business could just start and you got $1,000 and it just happens you don't do any work. It doesn't work that way. If it was that way, everybody here would be making $1 million, or I certainly would. So you're going to have to work, and you're going to have some tools. You're not going to go be a mechanic and not show up with any tools to do mechanics work. So the tools are Top 100 generator. You know, it's AmaSuite, it's Jungle Scout, it's all these tools that are out there that will give you the information you need. A bunch of people are out there worried about how in the heck they're going to find a product. Well, there's enough things out there that will help you find this product. Do you use AmaSuite Review Finder to contact top reviewers? That really is more about affiliate sales. But yes, you can use it for that. But that's a lot for affiliate sales. But yes, you can, you know, you could contact. I don't know how you could contact. I don't even know how you would do that. Adam, I don't know. I'm gonna refer that to later. Rank Tracer to Jungle Scout. Listen, you're gonna get a more accurate. You're gonna get a more accurate thing. Azon Shark to me and Rank Tracer are great. I've now kind of went away from Rank Tracer and followed a little bit more in the Amazon or the AZ Shark stuff, or AZ Tracer, Rank Tracer. I know it's AZ Tracker, AZ Shark, and then Rank Tracer. Listen, it doesn't matter. Find one thing. All you're doing is using that as part of your algorithm and how you're going to find a product. The algorithm is if you don't have any of my forms, you need to download them. They're all on the Facebook pages where you can download what your algorithm is. You know what? I like that. So what everybody needs to do is you need to get yourself an algorithm of how you find a product. Phil, I do not get a discount on it. I mean, I do have an affiliate link. It pays me like $18. If you want me to send you an affiliate link, I will. If you feel like that, if you don't, I understand. If you don't, let me see if I can find this. Here you go. Here's the Jungle Scout link. It's $67 if you want to use the Jungle Scout link. I get paid a couple bucks on it if you do. But I love the product. I use it. It's on my computer here next to me. It's loaded in my thing because it's so convenient. You're looking at a product and you can press it and then go, okay. And again, I'm not going to take it as like the end all be all of everything. It just helps me choose a product, and then I can go deeper in and use Rank Tracer or Azon Shark. But what's the purpose in going and spending, you know, a week monitoring stuff or trying to figure out what something's selling when I can get a pretty good estimate? You know what I mean? Even if Jungle Scout's off 20% than what it is, which I know it's not. I talked with Greg. He developed the software. It's not off 20%, but what if it is? Okay. So instead of a product selling $300 a month, it's selling $240 a month. Okay, but that tells me that there's sales in there. Amazon doesn't work. All right, hold on the Amazon link. Let me make sure I got it. Hold on one second. That first one doesn't work. Here's the one. That one does work. I just checked it. So the last one is the Amazon link. Now, with AmaSuite, you do get a $100 discount because of that link. If you go to the main one, it's a $297. If you go to mine, it's $197 for it all. But if you just want to get it on a payment plan, they'll let you buy it, I think instead of $57, they'll let you buy it for $37, and that's $37 a quarter. So the most powerful tool I've ever seen in this business is the AmaSuite software. And there's some other things in there that you can use, but I believe it's one of the most powerful products to be able to find a product. I've got 3 clients that I work with right now, and every single one of them found amazing. Like the one product that I heard yesterday from my client that he found, I'm telling you, he is going to make so much money that it's going to be crazy because the margin on it is like 70%. Like it's insane. But he found that product using the deal. And I know other people who are on this, who are here tonight, are using Azon. If you're having any luck, I know people are choosing products that I'm working with right now. Azon Shark. I'm not an affiliate for that at all. There's AZ Shark. Yes, Jared, you are 100% correct. Greg told me that there's a likelihood that the values are undervalued than they are overvalued because they want to make sure that they're going to give you an undervalue instead of an overvalue. You are correct. I think almost all of these programs give you an undervalue. Now, can I tell you this? I checked out, and the reason I decided that I was full in on Jungle Scout right now is because I knew what people were selling their product at. I knew what their, I knew what their real sales were, and I could go into Jungle Scout. I mean, I'm telling you, it was within 50 or 60 of about 5 products that I knew people were selling, and I knew the exact amount they were selling. And Jungle Scout was right on with the new software. Yes, Jared, I think it's much more accurate than it was. Anybody have any other questions? I'm more than happy to sit here and talk. If you guys want to sit, go through, maybe find some products or whatever, I'll give you another half an hour if you want. Yes, Jared, I believe it's right now that they just did the let's see if that link works. Yeah, the discount's no longer there. Hey, Jason, now I'm not saying that's bad with FBA Toolkit, but I can tell you this. That FBA Toolkit, I hear, is not as accurate as most things. Yes, Amazon Tool Belt. My next goal is to get these things and kind of edit them a little better. Hey, AmaSuite, I'm telling you, like I use it anytime I'm looking for products, and I have people that I know every day that I work with personally who are using it, and it's not, you know, it does well. Listen, I don't care what software you use, it's software, and we're asking software to do things that's new. And it's not like these people who build these software packages have, you know, millions of dollars to be able to develop software. They're writing the code themselves, or they're having somebody in India write it for them, or Pakistan. And so there's updates to these things all the time. And I'm not gonna say I don't have problems with AmaSuite crashing on me every now and then, but hey, Carter, thank you for coming, buddy. We appreciate it. I'm glad you got something out of it. Did anybody find at least one thing tonight that they thought was valuable? I'm excited about next week doing the listing show, because I think a lot of people will be able to get some benefit from the listing show. I'm going to call. Any other questions? Anything you'd like me to tell you, do, share? Somebody apparently copied the whole chat log and dropped it in there. Like all of them. Cynthia, are you sending our chat log to Amazon? I can share screens. I can show you anything if you want. That's the idea. Is that here's the bottom line. When you go to a webinar, I hope that when you go spend a time at a webinar that you're getting something you can come out and use with. If it's all just nonsense. And here's the other problem. How many of these webinars do you go to at the end of it? They're like, hey, buy our $1,000 course. You know, I mean, listen, I don't have a $1,000 course I want to offer you. I don't do courses because I think courses are not good. I think courses basically put you in a big group and no one's helping you. So people, people do ASM and they spend $5,000 and $5,000 on ASM for $5,000. I will get you a product shipped and maybe 2 products shipped and up on Amazon with promotions, and I'll be selling you stuff while you're still going through their course. Was it me that dumped it there? Yeah, Cynthia, you did. You dumped it in there. Yeah, Cynthia, are you sure you're not an undercover Amazon agent? We probably have the NSA looking at us. They're probably trying to figure out how we're trying to all make $1,000 a month on 10 products. Yeah, that's what they're doing. I'm going to go. That's okay, Cynthia. We know for now for sure that you're one of the Amazon undercover people. Somebody needs to investigate her. All right, I'm going to give one last call. If you got any other questions, I'm willing to answer them. If not, I'll see you next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. How to write crazy good listings. Crazy good. And I think what we talked about tonight will lead us into a bunch of that next week, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about specifically. Brian, I mean, you better look at patents, Brian. If you don't look at patents, then you're going to get crushed out. So, if you're looking at patents, you should. Now, remember this. It only takes a very slight variation in a product for it not to be patented. Like, patents are very specific. I mean, think about it. I mean, think about how many things have multiple things that are on there. Now, if you have something that's completely unique and new to the market, you might have a problem. But if it's something that's in general, and there's other people making and manufacturing different styles or different types, there's nothing to prevent you from I mean, you could have a patented screwdriver, but it better have something unique. But that doesn't mean it's the only screwdriver. So I would definitely be cautious of patents, unless you're selling on eBay, and then it doesn't matter. eBay is kind of like China. Brian says, I found a product that has a few variations, and I'm looking at putting together ideas from a couple of products based on reviews. Thoughts on how much to investigate? Oh, man, I just had what did I find? I just had something. I just found something. Hold on one second. I have something I just saw today that checks histories or something, or it checks what products have. I got something for you right here, Brian. I don't know much about this, but I got this message, Brian, and this. Good night, Cynthia, Jared, everybody. Brian, if you look at that thing, I believe what that does is it allows you to do searches on stuff. So you can, you'll see who's out there doing stuff and whether your name and that kind of stuff is out there. I don't think that's exactly what I thought it was. Anyway, you definitely can look at patents and look them up. There's definitely sites that you can do. The government has a site you can do. But listen, oh, by the way, so if you want to do a patent search or whatever, I think on whatever the lawyer's site is. Oh, Jason says he used that. You can go to LegalZoom or Legal whatever, the website, and they have patent searches that they'll do for you, and they'll do trademark searches too for you. And on there, they're not that expensive. I mean, it's $200 depending on what you're spending. I don't even know where all of a sudden that Noam site came from, to tell you the truth, Jason. I don't know. I just all of a sudden I got it and found it and, you know, put it in my repertoire. LegalZoom. There you go, David. I got that stuck in my mouth. LegalZoom. Man, if you guys need legal information, I'm telling you, quit going to attorneys. The likelihood that you're going to get sued is not very high. And if you do, I don't give a crap what you did. They're still going to sue you and they're still going to try to get your money. I just paid out $7,000 on a suit that there's no way on the planet I should have lost, and I did, because you just never know how a judge is going to rule. So there's but LegalZoom has a bunch of great legal information to get you started, and it'll help you out a lot if you want that. There you go. Jason has a thing in there for trademarks here. See Liam 1 or Liam 2. So there seems to be some stuff. It says there's still 41 people in here. Any of you other 41s want to talk? Effie, good night. Laura, thank you. Good night. Vicky, good night. Peter, good night. All right, I'm going to end this so people can watch it without spending 3 hours in it. If any of you guys want to ask me any questions or whatever, just Facebook me and private message me, and we'll do that. Hey, you guys been listening to the Amazon Gorillas webinar tonight, and the webinar was about how to find and get 100 reviews and skyrocket your BSR. I hope that you got some of those things that will help you. By the way, I want to put another disclaimer out there. I would never, ever encourage you to do any of these things without reading the terms of service by Amazon. And if you find that any of them violate the terms of service on Amazon, I would suggest that you definitely put a lot of thought into what you might do. I will never, ever, ever violate the terms of service to you, Amazon. You are in charge. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Laura, $1.99 will happen by the end of this week. I've got to create some forms on the $1.99 review group. But you can go there and just ask to join, and then I'll put everybody in here in a minute. So just go ask to be in the group, and then as soon as I get it launched, you'll get a notice that I let everybody in. Hey, I would suggest all you guys in the chat box, you know, you put your deal in there. I would never, ever violate the terms of service. I'm probably going to get, when people watch this, I'm probably going to get dirty messages from people telling me how immoral and horrible I am as a business person. But, you know, because I've actually expressed the same conversation I've had with you guys in an open forum, and people were just crazy. Cynthia, I'll get you in there. I'm trying to wait till we have about 25 people to get into the mastermind. Yes, Jason, ask me. Okay, so the brand registry basically means that you've proven to Amazon that you have your own brand, that your product is somehow yours. And so that means nobody else can jump on your listing, and then if they beat your price when they go to search for that product, you can't get on that listing. They can't, because it's your brand. So that's the benefit, is that you keep the buy box and you keep your product listed, and nobody else can list with you. Jason, you're correct. Jason will never, ever violate the terms of service. Cynthia, the name of the $1.99 group is actually $1.99 Amazon Prime. That's what I put in. Here you go. If you want this, I got it. There you go, Cynthia, if you want that $1.99 group. All right, everybody. About 3 hours in tonight. I hope everybody learned. I don't know if my girlfriend, let me see if she's still in there. Miss Mindy Ann, I love you, baby. Thanks for listening all night and hanging out with me. Everybody else, bye. I think we've got Tim, Paul, Jim, Chook, Jay, Liam, Cynthia, Todd, Joel, Jamie, Vincent, Dennis, Jason, Mindy, Richard, Rick, Leon. Again, you got 2 of you in there. Leon, there's 3 Lenas in there. Lena. I may be pronouncing that wrong. Cole, Eddie, Jason, Doc, Alan, Brian, Dave, Ollie, Kevin, Jay, Carrie. Hey, thank you guys for sticking around. I don't know. You guys must have the most boring lives on earth if you're willing to sit and listen to Rob Fortney talk for 3 hours. I appreciate it. And you guys have a good night. If you guys want to talk to me at all, I'll definitely be on Facebook for a while. And if anybody's interested, maybe if some of you guys want to continue to talk, we can go put a Google Hangout. I only can put about 10 people in a Google Hangout, but if any of you guys want to hang out and talk on a Hangout, I'm more than happy to do that. Good night, guys.